Shalom and welcome back to Che Languages. The Hellenic languages are a branch of the Indo-European language family that comprises mainly of the modern-day language of Greek. Historically, there were other Hellenic languages too, but for complicated reasons with many different causes, this is no longer the case and we're not really going to go into it. However, some very distinct dialects of Greek still exist and one separate language still persists today. So let's begin the video. Yalla, matchilim. The first Hellenic language we're going to talk about today is Pontic, spoken by the Pontic Greeks, historically in the Pontus region of Anatolia. But since the Pontic genocide by the Turks, the language now mainly exists in the Pontic diaspora, where it is slowly dying in favour of modern standard Greek. That being said, some small communities still exist in Pontus and their dialect and/or language is rather unique. The Pontic Greeks have two names for their language, Pontiakon Lalian, which means the Pontic language, and Romaica, which means Roman. Which is interesting because this means that the Pontic Greeks are the last remaining Greeks in the world who still refer to themselves as Romans, as this used to be very common due to the Eastern Roman Empire, in which the Greek population still very much saw themselves as Romans. An interesting side note relating to this is that the Greek Jewish population, both existing and historical, are referred to as the Romaniotim, also meaning Roman Jews. Despite this language slowly declining, Pontic still has 778,000 speakers, which is definitely impressive. Pontic Greek has some unique features that sets it apart from other dialects of Greek. First of all, its phonology is notably different, as can be shown here with its alphabet. Pontic not only preserves some older pronunciations of letters from ancient Greek, but also includes some sounds that don't exist in modern Greek nor dialects, such as the sh, zh, j, and ch sounds. Pontic also still uses a lot of older words from ancient Greek that have otherwise fallen out of use in standard Greek, as well as grammatical features such as the attachment of the e sound to the ancient infinitive suffix in, and also the preservation of the infinitive suffix ine, as well as some more complex features such as the first and second aorists, which I don't really understand, but it's to do with ancient Greek grammar. Now, I'm sure you're all dying to see what a sample of this language looks like, and thankfully we have one right here. Now, I could not possibly tell you how this compares with modern Greek, but I do have a translation right here. One thing I've noticed about Pontic is that it seems to preserve the ancient Greek on ending a lot more than modern Greek. Compare the name of the language even, which is Pontiakon Lalian, whereas in modern Greek they call it Pontiaki dialectos, showing the different endings. However, we're now going to move west of Greece instead of east for our next language. The whole reason I'm making this video is because it was requested by the winner of my contest 2 weeks ago. In case you were not aware or have simply forgotten, I released a post on the community tab in which I said that the first person to guess where I was, based on a few language related facts, would get to choose the next video. I was in Napoli, Italia, and the winner of the contest decided that he wanted me to talk about the Greek that was once spoken in southern Italia, including in Napoli, which started as a Greek trading colony under the name Neapolis, New City. So today I'm talking about Griko, which recently started using this flag and is a descendant of one of the many dialects that used to exist in Magna Graecia, which was the Roman name for the collection of Greek colonies in the Mezzogiorno. Today, only two of these still exist, amazingly after thousands of years. Griko, also known as Pulian Greek or Salentian Greek, is the one spoken on the east coast and the one we're going to focus on today. Griko is actually the endonym, meaning these are the only Greeks who actually refer to themselves as Greeks instead of Hellenes, using the Latin-derived name. This is interesting because it was actually the Greeks living in southern Italia that the Romans coined the name Greek for the Hellenic civilization, still of uncertain etymology today. Griko has somewhere between 50,000 to 70,000 speakers today, making it the larger of the two Greek languages in Magna Graecia. Greek linguists call the language Grakanica and agree that it's a modern Greek dialect. However, Griko itself is mutually unintelligible with modern Greek, even more so than Pontic Greek, and it's not even clear if Griko is descended from Ionic Greek, the same as modern Greek, or Doric Greek, which comprised of many ancient Greek dialects spoken mainly in the west of the Hellenic world. Griko is protected by the Italian government and recognized as a language, because the Griki, as they call themselves, have been living in Italia for so long. Griko is usually written every day in the Latin alphabet. However, the Greek alphabet is used for more poetry and literature. Here are both of the alphabets for Griko. and you may notice that their Latin script is clearly influenced by Italian orthography. The phonology of Griko differs to that of modern Greek, lacking the dental fricative delta, having a solid gamma, and also including a letter sigma. Thankfully, we have a pretty good example of Griko shown here in both the Latin and Greek scripts. This is a popular Griko folk song called Kalinifta. In the name itself, we can already see a difference, as in standard Greek this would be Kalinichta. Here we can compare the Griko lyrics to the modern Greek translation. The word for I, which is ego in Greek, has changed to evo in Griko. The word pencil is clearly either a Latin or Italian loanword, and in this word we can see an instance of P shifting to F in Griko. These two texts are fairly similar, and with a bit of work I imagine a modern Greek speaker could extrapolate the meaning, but the everyday language on the other hand is generally recognised to be mutually intelligible, as it contains a higher number of Italian loanwords and also a high amount of preservations from ancient Greek. That is all for Griko, however, and we're going to move on to our final language of the day. This final language may not be so forgotten, as I've seen it around quite a few places on the internet now as it started to pick up publicity, but it's still definitely worth talking about. This language is of course Tsakonian, spoken in the rural towns and villages of Tsakonia, which is derived from the ancient Greek region of Laconia, which, if you don't know, Laconia is where the city of Sparta was located and is also the origin of the word laconic in English. I was able to find this map which shows the extent of the language. The map in question was from a map of minority languages spoken in Greece, so don't be fooled into thinking that Arvanitika Albanian is all of a sudden a major language spoken around Athens. The language is called Tsakonika in both Tsakonian and modern Greek, but the full name in Tsakonian is also Atsakonika Grusa. Grusa is a cognate to glossa in modern Greek, also the origin of the word glossary in English. So what makes Tsakonian special compared to the other two languages that I've talked about today? Well, it's the only living Hellenic language that is known to have derived from Doric instead of Ionian. As I mentioned earlier, in ancient Greece there were many different Hellenic languages and dialects. Most of them were descended from two main groups, Ionian in the east, which Athenian Greek was derived from, and Doric in the west, which Spartan Greek, or Laconian, was descended from. Laconian, unlike literally every other Hellenic language apart from Koine Greek, managed to survive and become Tsakonian, whereas all the other Greek languages and dialects died off in favour of Koine Greek, eventually the basis for modern Greek. Tsakonian today has somewhere around 2,000 to 4,000 speakers, and the language is considered critically endangered. As I mentioned before, it's only really spoken in the rural areas. However, like the Spartans, for all of their history, the people are stubborn and resistant to assimilation, and this of course extends to their language too. Schools in the area teach Tsakonian in order to keep it alive. There is a proud culture of folk songs and literature that persists to this day, and the local area has many signs like this with a Tsakonian on top. It means, "Our language is Tsakonian. Ask and they will tell you." So as you can see, the people are very proud of their language. Before we look at the sample, which is one of those aforementioned folk songs, let's take a look at their script. As you can see, despite being so different to modern Greek, especially in vocabulary, it shares almost all of the same sound shifts that happened from ancient Greek to modern Greek, most possibly because of contact. Despite this, Tsakonian still does have some different sounds, once again incorporating their sh and ch sounds into their language. Finally, moving on to the sample text, we have this traditional song. The Tsakonian text is on the top, the modern Greek at the bottom. Any Greek speakers watching this video may benefit from the knowledge that Tsakonian, like Griko, is completely mutually unintelligible from modern Greek. So do let me know in the comments how you get along. Secondly, some of the words may look similar, but their pronunciation is very different. For example, the first word is pronounced pulachi, and it only gets more complicated from there. Tsakonian is a very unique language and deserves to be preserved for the next generations as the only surviving relic of the ancient Doric languages. And it serves as a great example for what the Hellenic languages could have been if they spread out like the Romance languages in an alternate history. For now, however, we're going to conclude this video. I thank you all for watching this video. As I mentioned, this video was suggested by a viewer that goes by the name Quigley, so a shout out to him for this suggestion. As for the rest of you, let me know in the comments what you think about this topic, and feel free to leave suggestions for other topics, as well as discuss with me in the comments about various things as always. I'd greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe if you're new. We're on the road to 5k now, but no pressure. Once again, I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Yalla, bye.